is only war.
What is up, gents? 40k Dirtbags here. We got another battle report RTT winning video for you. We went 3-0 at the latest RTT, so we're going to do a whole guide and wrap up on everything that we did in each and every game. We take pictures, we go over what we did good, what we could have worked on, the opponents we played, the type of tactics of the list that we're using. So we are switching into Chaos Space Marine player or lists. We are currently ranked #1 Chaos Space Marine player in the world, but there is a World Eater player ahead of us, which we have to take over coming up to LVO. So we just went 6-0 with the last 2 RTTs with this type of list. So this will probably be our list going into LVO, just tweaking it a little bit, keep practicing it, making it get faster, and painting everything. So it's going to be a bitch to paint all of these models, but we're going to try and get it done for LVO. So in this type of video, again, if you guys like these types of videos, leave in the comments below what you liked, what you didn't like, what we could get better at. And if you guys have Patreons, you guys are fucking awesome. Appreciate you supporting the channel. If you like these types of videos, go head over to Patreon, support it. You get first access to these up on patreon.com, so you get to watch them before they get uploaded a couple days to a week later on YouTube. So appreciate all you guys. You also get a little thing in Discord, a little secret chat that Patreons are only invited to, and we get to kind of just talk and answer questions on the Discord as well. So in this video, we're going to go over everything you need to know about the Accursed Cultist list. I'm not going to say spam because I made this list right when 10th edition came out. I just wasn't able to play because we were mainly focused on Grey Knights and going to Nova, which we went 6-2 at Nova with Grey Knights. So just to give you a little perspective of how we are at the Dirtbags is we really like competitive, but also drinking beer at the same time. So the merch behind me is sold on Discord. That is all custom stickers you guys get to buy. They're about 3 inches in height. Some of them are fucking huge, but they're $3 each. Message me on Discord. Also the dice, we have the green dice left. We just ordered another 2,000 dice from our guys over at Chessex. So they're going to be coming probably the next 2 months, but we're ordering a bunch more colors come November and January as well. So stay tuned for that. Head over to Discord so you guys get notifications on that. Codiez and the Assassin are also up for sale. The Assassin is basically almost the exact same model as the Games Workshop Sculpt. It's just a proxy, as well as Codiez, almost the same exact model. So you will be able to use them in tournaments and RTTs and GTs and stuff like that. Just make sure you ask the TO, but once you guys pay them, you literally can't tell the difference. So those are the 2 stuff that we are selling for proxies. So if you guys are interested, hit me up on Discord. So that's the merch. We're going to go over first the list that we're using in these events, and then we're going to go over the pictures game by game. There's 3 games to go over, so we're going to break it up in each and every game. So first, why are we running this list? We made this list because in 9th edition, Accursed Cultists weren't used by me, but they were super annoying to deal with. They basically came back every single command phase. You just be able to make them back and kind of keep them on objectives and just be super annoying, especially with 3 wound models and then 1 wound models, and bring guys. It was just super annoying. Then they released the rules for Dark Commune. Dark Commune wasn't even looked at in 9th edition. Then in 10th edition, you look at the rules for Dark Commune, and then you combine the 2, and it's just insane combo. So they're able to give a 5-up invuln save to the unit. They're able to give +1 to hit and +1 to wound, and advance and charge in the command phase of 1 turn. So when you're getting close or you want to get that charge off, you basically go, all right, I'm going to use my once per game ability, which is advance and charge, and +1 hit, +1 to wound. Their speed 6. They're OBSEC 2 for some reason. There's 6 big guys in the unit, which are 3 wounds each, and there's 10 little guys, which are 1 wound each. They give a 5-up Feel No Pain, so they have a 5-up Invuln and a 6-up Feel No Pain in the unit. So that alone is insane. Plus, on top of that, every single command phase, they bring guys back. So their command phase and your command phase, every single turn, you're bringing them back. So it's two times a turn, you're able to bring either 3 little guys back to steal an objective or 1 big guy to just hit harder in combat. Now, that's all the defensive stats to this unit. But with the melee profile, They are the big guys. They're D6 attacked +2. So they basically have the possessed profile. Strength 5, -1, 2 damage, which is huge in this meta. So using the advance and charge, they move 6 plus the advance and then the charge. And they're strength 5, so they're wounding Marines on 3s and then 2s with that once per game. And they get D6 +2 attack. So I roll fucking 6 dice. Like, all right, I get, I don't know, 20 attacks. And then you add 12 on top of that. So you're rolling 32 attacks, re-rolling 1s because they're undivided, and they can Dark Pact to get exploding 6s or auto wound 6s if you really need that. So then there's 1 CP strat that you can actually do full rerolls to hit and full rerolls to wound. So this unit is hitting on 3s on the charge with the once per game. They're rerolling everything. They're exploding on 6s. And then they wound shit on either 5s down to 4s or 4s down to 3s or 3s down to 2s and full rerolls to wound. And that's just the big guys. Then you have the 2 attacks each for all the little guys, which are AP 0, but still they're getting just extra attacks going into whatever unit you want to attack. So that is the unit that you're running ×3 in this list. So that's kind of the mindset. I made this list again right when 10th edition came out, so I haven't been able to put it on the table. I spent so much fucking money getting all this list together and putting it all together. They're all real models. They're not 3D printed. Everything is like exactly what you need it to be. You need basically 6 boxes of a Kris cultist, which are about $50 each maybe, and then you need 3 boxes of a Kris cultist, which are $55 each. So I think they might be 60, honestly. I don't know, but you need 6 boxes of one, 3 boxes of another, and then I didn't have any Forge Fiends because I wasn't running Forge Fiends in 9th edition. So I needed to buy 3 fucking Forge Fiends. This list only uses 2, but I bought 3 just to have them. And then what else is new? And then basically everything at the bottom is just all shit that I just didn't have before. So we'll go over the list real quick, and that was the mindset of the Kris cultist. So that's just all the benefits of this unit. So Abaddon, obviously, he should be in every list. He's just too good not to be in every list. He just benefits and just a bully on the table. So he doesn't have the wound cap anymore, but you can at least join him into a unit. So they have to chew through the unit to then get to him. And he has a 1 CP strat for Nurgle where you can't shoot him outside of 12 inches. So if he's out in the open, at least he's somewhat protected. Gains basically lone up. And also, if he's out of line of sight shooting, like let's say the Plague Burst Crawlers or somebody shooting at him, you just spend 1 CP and he can't be shot at. So he is kind of very defensive in that essence, but he hits like a fucking truck. He's strength 14. I was playing a guy at the last RTT and just he never seen Abaddon on the table, so he just kept questioning like, are you fucking kidding me? He's strength 14, devastating wounds, 8 attacks, exploding 5s, full, like everything that he has in chaos is on this one guy, and he's 310 points or 320 points, whatever he got up to. But he's so worth it because he has 3 options. 2 of them you're mainly going to be using, but 1 is full rerolls to everything within 6 inches. So if you have like obliterators or forge fiends or even melee dudes, like they're getting full rerolls to everything. Most of them are going to be Nurgle units, which then they're exploding 5s. So they're dark pacting and exploding on 5s with full rerolls. So basically just rerolling everything to explode everywhere. Imagine forge fiends with full rerolls and even a Hellbrute auto wounding. So you're auto wounding and full rerolls and exploding 5s all at the same time. Like this combo in chaos is just nuts. So that's why we have Abaddon on the list. We're bringing him mainly for the 4-up invuln save. So remember when I said Dark Commune gave a 5-up invuln save? What's better than that is a 4-up invuln save. So he's basically in the middle of the army the entire time. He gives all of the Accursed Cultists a 4-up invuln save and a 6-up feel no pain. So you don't even care about the AP. You're basically just like, whatever the AP is, I don't fucking care. Is it a more than 3 damage weapon? Great, it's going on my single wound model. If it's a 1 to 2 damage weapon, it's going on my 3 wound model. So if you have like 2 damage coming in, you could start it off on the big guys. So that way you roll 1 dice, 4-up, 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 2-up. Oh, he failed. Let me roll 2 feel no pains. Great, I made 1 of them. He only took 1 damage. Then you do it again on the same model, 4-up, 4-up, 1-up. All right, he failed, 2 dice. I died. So great. 1 guy died out of those 6 attacks that just went through. That's what's so crazy about that one fucking list. So that's what you have to get faster at if you're using this unit, is you need to kind of figure out, what attacks are going on which guy, because you get to allocate which attack it is. So if you're like, all right, I have 6 last cannons coming into me and 5 heavy bolters, the last cannons are going on the little guys, the heavy bolters are going on the big guys. We have to roll it like maybe 1 at a time, 2 at a time, 3 at a time. Put it on your time so that way your opponent doesn't get screwed. But you're putting in your time and you're deciphering where the wounds are going so that way you guys live a lot longer. So that's what Abaddon does for the army. Dark Commune, we already went over it. They have some stuff. I usually don't do it, but the good thing you need to know about this unit is they have grenades. So if you need to throw an 8-inch grenade with this unit, you can still do that. For 1 CP. So if you need that extra mortal wound or to kill a tank or whatever it may be, they're basically just either falling back and throwing a grenade or moving up, throwing a grenade, and then charging. So make sure you remember that this unit has grenades. Everything else I don't really use them for anything. I do use them for chaff though, because these guys are AP2 only 1 damage, 2 attacks, so they're not really doing as much as I thought they would. If they were AP2 2 damage, they would be fucking kept. But you have an extra 2, 3, 4 wounds in this unit that you can kill before your Cursed Cultists. So let's say you're getting down to like half your Cursed Cultists and you want to keep them alive so they keep coming back every command phase. You can start taking wounds on these 4 models instead, because they are not characters. The only character is this Dark Demagugu person. This is the only character model. So this one cannot take wounds unless they have precision. Or they're the last model in the unit. So these ones can die before the Cursed Cultists if you need to do it that way. Usually I kill a couple of Cursed Cultists first. Once I'm getting down to like slim numbers, I'll then start removing these guys. So that way I still have my Cursed Cultists left in the unit so they can still bring guys back. That's a little trick that I found out watching YouTube videos. So this is a good trick that you can do. Then we got, again, 3 Dark Communes. Those are all the HQs. We took out Cypher. Cypher, 105 points just for stratagems that you can't do anymore for vecting. So we don't really need them in this list. So we took out Cypher. That was 105 points we gained. Cultist Mob, we have 55 points. Nurgle. And the reason we run Nurgle, a lot of people started with Tzeentch. You don't want Tzeentch, you want Nurgle, because they have sticky objectives and they can... be in the back on an objective or even in the center, and they can spend 1 CP so you can't shoot them outside of 12 inches. So they really help out by getting your primary points down and making things sticky. So that way turn 1, they start on the objective, make it sticky, and they basically made their points back. That's their whole goal right there. So if they block out your whole backfield and then just make an objective sticky and just keep blocking out your whole backfield, if you really need them to live, you just spend 1 CP. So that way your opponent can't get secondary points and they're just keeping your backfield safe. So that's why cultists are really, really, really good in Chaos Space Marines. Legionnaires. Why the fuck do we have Legionnaires in this unit or this army? Is because it's 10 bodies, 20 wounds they have to chew through. They have a 4-up invuln save because of Abaddon, and they give Abaddon full rerolls to wound when somebody's on a objective. So they get reroll 1s to wound if somebody's on objective, I think to shooting, or might be, I don't know if it's melee shooting. Hasn't come up. In melee though, if you're on an objective, I get full rerolls to wound with Abaddon, because Abaddon's a part of the unit, so the unit gets full rerolls to wound on the objective. So Abaddon's devastating wounds, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, exploding on 5s, and then wounding most of the time on 3s or 2s, rerolling everything to try and get devastating wounds on his AP4 3 damage weapon. These guys are insane with Abaddon. Now, they do die a lot easier than Terminators. The other benefit is they're actually able to bring a icon, which the Terminators cannot bring. So the icon lets you reroll the Dark Pact, which the only way to get a CP with Abaddon is you pass your Dark Pact. So if you fail your Dark Pact, you then roll it again and try and roll 5+, and then roll 2+ to get your CP. So they have a benefit of bringing the icon as well, plus their speed 6. So if you're able to move them 6 inches, Abaddon's only 5, they can potentially get that extra inch with the charge or movement. Obviously Abaddon is only moving 5, but everybody else moving 6, so as long as Abaddon's in coherency, you're still good. And then they get that charge off onto the enemy. You can bring heavy weapons with them. I don't know about the heavy boulder. I might switch it out to something else. It hasn't really done too much for me. But the last cannon is just a 48-inch, strength 12 AP3 shot going into vehicles that lets you dark pact from really far away. So if he just kind of moves out, peeks out, and gets one shot off, he's able to dark pact, which gives a CP generation for Abaddon. So having that one long range or two long range shots, you're able to at least dark pact from really far away. So that's kind of why they're in there. Only one heavy melee weapon, which kind of sucks. Usually it's every 5-man you get one, but this is just you get one in the squad, and then the character or the leader gets one as well. So leader, I put a plasma pistol, heavy weapon, icon on the leader, and then last cannon, heavy weapon, heavy bolter. The rest is just close combat, because once they get into combat, Abaddon is just killing whatever the fuck they touch. So I don't usually care about the bolters. I want to get them in combat with their AP1, exploding 5s, full rerolls to wound. So that's kind of why they're super melee. Then we have 1, 2, 3 Accursed Cultists. The bikers I fucking love. So the tournament here, I did not bring bikers. I brought Horon to test out Horon. So instead of the second unit of bikers, we brought Horon. So just imagine Horon on the table instead of 2 bikers. That's one of the biggest. That's one of the changes I made to this list after the tournament. Is Horon didn't really do as much as I thought he was going to do. So Chaos Bikers with Nurgle. Just because of they explode on 5s with their plasmas, as well as they can spend 1 CP, so they can't be shot at. So if you really need them to be either on an objective, in a corner, killing shit, whatever it may be, everybody can spend 1 CP, or one model can spend 1 CP to not be shot at outside 12 inches. So run 2 plasma guns and then the plasma pistol. So at least you have 3 plasma or 5 plasma shots if they're within 12 inches. Overcharging, if they roll ones, who cares? They're 85 points doing secondaries. And they have a special thing that they can go into strategic reserves and then not come back on until you really need them. So turn 1, they're within 6 inches. They just go into strategic reserves. Or they block at the backfield, and then turn 2 they go into strategic reserve, and then come back on either turn 2 or turn 3. What do? They're mainly there for secondaries, being able to come in on almost any table quarter besides the opponent deployment zone on turn 2, but turn 3 they can come into opponent's deployment zone. They basically come on and do objectives, or put fucking 5 exploding 5 plasma shots into a marine unit and just murder half the unit, which is what happened in the game this weekend. So really good for 85 points. That's kind of why they're there, is to do secondaries and just be a nuisance with 3 fucking plasmas coming in from the side table edge. So imagine this next unit being Horon, and then 2 Forge Fiends. So 2 Forge Fiends here, I have Ectoplasma, and Nurgle. So you can run different Forge Fiend combinations. I just love having them there because they don't have any rerolls. So I don't get any rerolls from Abaddon because he's mainly doing the 4-up invuln save. So however you want to run your Forge Fiends is how you want to run your Forge Fiends. You can do 1 undivided, 1 Nurgle. You can do 1 Nurgle, 1 undivided with auto cannons for vehicles, stuff like that. So it's up to you how you want to run them. I'm running them with 2 Chaos Nurgle, so in case one of them needs to be not shot at and the other one is on the other side of the table, you could do it that way. So try and keep them like apart or focus down on one unit, whatever it may be, but they explode on 5s. So the 3d3 blast, hitting on 3s, exploding on 5s, and they can use the 1 CP to not be shot at outside 12 inches. That's why I have both of mine in Nurgle, because if one of these guys die, that is half of my ranged firepower dying, so I want to make sure that they survive as long as possible. Then we have 3 units of 3 Nurglings. They're not only here because they're 35 point cheap units to do secondaries, but they also screen well. They do really good secondaries. They have deep strike, and finally they have -1 to hit in melee within 6 inches. So since we have a 3 Accursed Cultist army, having them mixed in between the Accursed Cultist units, or deep striking near an Accursed Cultist unit, or advancing near a Accursed Cultist unit just to give -1 to hit, is huge for this type of army. So we're not only using them for secondaries and blocking out screening, but we have them there to do -1 to hit once they get into combat with my Accursed Cultists. So they're really good. They're there to screen. They're there to block out deep strikes. They're there to do secondaries, and they're there to do the -1 to hit, which is all really good for 35 points and 4 wound models. So really good. I'm going to run 3 almost in every single chaos list that I build. Finally, if this is the first time you're clicking on the channel, Seekers is our secret tech. This is probably going to blow up after you see this video and us win LVO, but Seekers are going to be our Chaos Space Marine player secret tech. I spent all night one time just reading the demons that you can bring in Chaos Space Marines, and Seekers stood out to me the most because they're cheap. They're 85 points, so they're 5 points more than Flamers, but they are cheaper than the Lone Operative character guy. I forget his name, I haven't run him, but he went up to 90 points, so he's 5 points cheaper than that. And what do they get you is their big base, big cavalry bases, so bike bases. They're 2 wound models. They're 5 up in one save, and the main part is they scout move 9 inches. So I played against the Sentinels one time with Eldar and the Sentinels with Guard, and the fucking scout move 9 is ridiculous. So this is a 5-man unit for 85 points that have scout move 9. And on top of that, they move 14 inches. So that's 23 inches they're able to move before your opponent even moves. So that benefit is to block out and screen out their entire fucking army with their big ass bases, and 2-inch apart. They're blocking out most of the opponent. So that is kind of my mindset. I have a really melee army, so I need something to keep them in check, keep them on their side of the table one more turn, so that way my guys can get into position to set up for turn 2, turn 3 charges. Turn 1, obviously I'm not going to charge turn 1 unless they go first and they get into melee with me. But turn 2, I'm basically setting up so that way they can advance and charge and get onto the objectives on their side of the table and just be a nuisance. So that's why the Seekers are in the list, so that way I can either scout move forward or scout move behind cover, so they don't die turn 1, and then they fucking move 14 inches. They have free advance and charge, or free reroll advances and free reroll charges with +1 to charge. So they're moving 9 inches, 14 inches, and they can either advance if you're not going to charge them. Most of the time they're going to charge, but you move 9, 14, and then they charge +1 with a reroll. That is insane. So if you're playing any tanks, you're basically just throwing them forward and tying up tanks, or you're basically spreading them out so that way they're just blocking out half of their army and they have to deal with it. They can't move through unless they fly. They can't move. They have to run around. They can't go through the bases because you can't go within 1 inch, and they have to charge. And if they die, they made it their points 100%. 85 points is 100% good to ditch, so that way the rest of your army can move up. And they soak up firepower. Like 5 up in Vuln save with 2 wounds is not easy to kill, but it's still they have to kill it. So let's get into the games now, and then we'll go over kind of game by game, and then we'll go over how we did throughout the entire tournament. All right, so game 1, which is really, really cool. Vince, I think he's a dirtbag. He watched our channel. He's from New York, so he actually watched our channel. He's like, "Oh shit!" Like right when I got up to the table, I was like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "Dude, I'm a dirtbag." I was like, "That's fucking cool." So he actually traveled down. This is his second tournament at Alternate Universes. So if you guys again are in Alternate Universes, Bluebell, Pennsylvania, we're moving into a bigger store, next couple of months. So we're actually growing into a GT type store that we're able to run GTs, hopefully maybe once a quarter, or at least twice a year. Let's go dirtbags. So yeah, Alternate Universe is moving, but he comes down really solid meta, like really, really good players to test out lists with. And it's funny because we just kind of played a list like this at Nova with our Grey Knight. So at Nova, I think he had 14 War Dogs. This one he had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 War Dogs with the Shalaxi, whatever her name is, the big demon chick who's super hard to kill, and she has precision on her attacks, so she kills any character that if she gets in combat with. So this is his list: a bunch of brigands, a bunch of war stalkers, and melee dudes. So our mission is the one that me and Mike played the other day. It's the one where you get primary points if you have a character on the center objective. You get 3 if you hold the backfield objective, but you get 6 if you have a character on these 3, and then 3. So it'll be 9 if you control these 2, 15 if you control 3. I think you cap out at 15, but that's kind of the goal. So I love this deployment with a Cursed Cultist because you're able to kind of bully just the center and just fight them off the objectives in the center most of the game. Let me make myself smaller for you guys. So every single alternate universes has this type of setup. Every table is the same. So no matter what table you go to, you always have the same terrain setup. We're going to be changing this up for 10th edition a little bit. We're going to be adding more rectangles and small squares everywhere because there's no forests anymore. So the forests are basically just ruins. If you shoot through them, you get +1 to your save. So yeah, we're going to be changing up a little bit. But all the bottom floor windows are blocked. Everything else is what you see, what you get. It's all ruins. So if you're towing in, you see over it. With the new terrain thing for 10th edition, you were towing into it. You have to be completely into it to see through it, stuff like that. So pretty standard. But this is the setup for us. We start 18 inches on both sides. And for us, this is great because we're able to test out turn 1 going first with our Seekers. So I'm proxying the Forge Fiends, or the whatever these dudes are called. We use them in Fiends. I think they're just Fiends. So we used Fiends in 9th edition. So I already had them built, put together, painted. So we're proxying them because they're the same base size, and they're demons as Seekers. So when you guys see these guys, these are my Seekers that we're testing out. We actually just got 5 Seekers from our last tournament, so I have to put them together, which is going to be super fun, and then paint them so we can run them for LVO. So we got Seekers moving up. So they started on the line here, right? So they started here, 18 inches. They pregame move 9 to about here, and then they move 14. So they basically, I had to figure out what to do turn 1. So do I want to get into combat, or do I want to kind of just block through? Now with Chaos Knights, they can move through buildings and move through models. So Chaos Knights is kind of harder to block out. But if I had a good secondary, they were going to be the ones to get me that secondary point. So our secondary was engage in all fronts, so that they can be used for that. And I think we had cleanse or something turn 1, or be in the center of the deployment zone. So we had engage in all fronts, aerial denial. Really good turn 1 for us. So our Nurglings that were starting on the table up here. Now let me go to deployment. So deployment, we had a Forge Fiend back here. We had a unit of a Cursed Cultist on this side of the wall. We had a unit of Cursed Cultists on this side of the wall. And then we put the other guys into reserves. We started a Nurgling unit on this quarter, and we started a Nurgling unit on this corner. And then we deep struck the other ones. And then we have a unit of bikes back here, and Horon is in reserves as well. Abaddon is units over here. And then the cultists were starting on this objective, so that way they can make it sticky turn 1. So again, we had aerial denial, so these guys basically just advance up to the center, so that way they can be wholly within 6 inches to get 5 points for us for aerial denial. That's why Nurglings are so good for turn 1. These guys advanced up and just towed one guy onto the objective, and the reason we do that is so that way he can shoot us, kill at least one guy, and then on our command phase, we just go back out and tow the center objective, so that way we can steal the center objective. So that's kind of why we do it that way. Same thing up here. I put my guy as far forward as I possibly could, so that way if he kills my unit, I can leave this guy alive and then make a guy onto the objective to steal the objective. So that's why we kind of do it this way, so we can either make a guy in the command phase, and over here we can make a guy in the command phase, so that way we can either steal the objectives or at least start on the objective to do something. So that was basically our turn 1. We then moved up and charged, I think, this melee tank, these 2 shooting tanks, and then his melee guy killed, I think, all but 2. So he kills all of the guys. It might have had one guy live. So since he killed all but one guys, we were able to get engaged in all fronts, because this one guy that was alive right there was the only guy alive on that side of the table to give us engage in all fronts. So turn 1, we got engaged in all fronts and aerial denial, because he killed our our fiends. So fiends basically got across the table, was a little nuisance on turn 1. And if we were facing any other army, they would just blocked out most of their army turn 1. But since he has melee and pretty good melee knight, he was able to kill most of the fiends. So aerial denial and engage in all fronts. He got cleanse and bring it down. So our bring it down target is this Nurgle Forge Fiend up here. And cleanse, he's able to cleanse basically these 2 because these guys are super fast. So I think he's speed 14 on most of his knights. So his knights basically just hop up, tow these 2 objectives, which this guy now means nothing for us. And then over here, he basically moves up and toes these 2 objectives. One does cleanse over here, one does cleanse over here. So he's able to shoot Melta and Brigand, and then Melta and Brigand over here, and then just shoot into, I think he first targeted our Forge Fiend because he has Bring It Down, but we were able to spend 1 CP for our Nurgle strat, so that way the Forge Fiend can't be shot outside of 12 inches. So then he just puts more shots into this unit down here, which they are within 6 inches because we spread them out over here to Abaddon. And then the other one, again, obviously is within 6 inches of Abaddon over here, so they have the 4-up invuln save. Because we went first, we're able to give the 4-up invuln save turn 1. So everything else kind of spread out. And this one, I think one of these is a character. One of these is a character which made this back one sticky for him, which was awesome. So having the enhancement to make a sticky objective with a Chaos Knight is fucking sick. All right, so our turn 2, Shalaxi came down rapid ingress on this side. We don't have a ton of shooting, so he doesn't have to fear the shooting. But we spend our free thing to advance and charge. So we advance up, and then we charge both of these tanks or vehicles on our objective. The bikes came in and did just plasma into one of these knights to try and whittle it down a little bit. Abaddon's unit moved up to the objective. The Nurgling scooped up to try and be within 6 inches of this melee dread, so it's -1 to hit in melee. Same thing over here. I think these guys did the advance and charge, or they just moved up to kind of steal this objective. So the Forge Fiend peeked out as much as he possibly could, like less, to just get line of sight onto this one dread over here. So he's a little bit protected behind this cover, so that he just as a laser shot going straight down into this one thing, which he killed it turn 1 or turn 2. Sorry, so he kills that one dread. So all he has left is this dread right here, and these 2 dreads are here, which then we charge here, and we try and block off the center so Shalaxi can't fucking run up and punch Abaddon in the face. Here's one thing you need to know about precision. Precision is a keyword where you basically have to have line of sight to the unit to put precision onto the character. So since Abaddon is behind this wall, you can't see Abaddon because he's on the bottom floor and you're charging through the wall, so you technically can't gain precision onto my character. So the attacks have to go onto the bodyguard first before they carry over to Abaddon. So keeping your characters on the other side of the wall is sometimes really good to protect them. And then if you need to hop out on the other side of the wall to gain precision onto a unit, you can do that as well. So after this turn, I think we killed... we're charging this tank, left him on like very few wounds. This tank left him on 10 wounds, I think. 2 wounds maybe? I don't know. And then we left these guys on the objective, these guys on the objective, and it's funny because this was accidental placement right here. I'll explain what happens after Shalaxi moves up. So these guys are kind of chilling. Again, he doesn't kill too many because in combat with knights, you don't kill a 4-up invuln save with 6-up Feeling Pain. Same thing with this shooting dread, just not going to really kill any guys. And then that was basically my turn 2. This guy walked in on turn 2 in my deployment zone to shoot these dreads to try and help out. So I have 1 dread over there, 1 Forge Fiend at the top, 1 Forge Fiend at the bottom, just trying to help out with the lanes shooting down the sides. So I got cleanse and capture enemy outpost. Capture enemy outpost, there's almost no way I'm getting on that side of the table. So we had to walk up and cleanse with Abaddon's unit, and then we cleanse the center with the Nurgling. So Nurgling is, again, 2 turns, got us 10 points. So again, made up its 35 point thing. And then he got extend battle lines and deployed teleport homers. So this is where the accidental placement came. This is on the other side of the table. So his big old base cannot fit through here because you can't come within 1 inch of this guy, and then you can't come within 1 inch of this guy. So we measured it out, we put 2 little markers down, and he wasn't able to fit through that gap. Luckily for me, he wasn't able to fit through that gap. So he had to stop kind of like right here and then figure out who he's going to charge, whether it be Abaddon's unit and this guy, or just kind of go after the accursed cultists. So again, that was accidental placement. If I was smart, I would have put at least 1 more guy closer to the center. So it wasn't even a question if you can fit through. So that would have been better on my part, but we fucked that up. he spent 1 CP to move through my models. So he moved his one tank that was in combat through onto this side, and then the other one moved through onto this side. I don't know if he did teleport homers. I don't know if you could fall back and do teleport homers with that, but this guy moved up. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 obsec on this marker. We have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on this marker. And then we just have a shit ton on this marker. So primaries is pretty tough going into Curse Cultists, especially 3 units. And then if you guys notice, we did rapid ingress down here. So if you notice the bubble, it's because this is a 9-inch bubble. So like they're kind of curved right here. So we just put the marker down and we rapid ingressed our 3rd Curse Cultist on this side of the table. So that way on my turn, again, they're not going to die to shooting. So on my turn, I'm able to either advance and charge or just move up and charge to finish off the rest of the knights on this side. So we have our unit of cultists over here, our Forge Fiends protected back here, the other Forge Fiends all the way back here, and Abaddon is still kind of chilling right here. So on my turn, we have to kind of be aggressive this turn. So we then move basically everybody out to start killing shit. Shalaxi killed 1 big guy, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 little guys. That's how much Shalaxi did into our Curse Cultist unit. So, note taken, don't charge your big 500-point unit into an Curse Cultist blob because you probably won't kill too much. So that was the big thing we both... This was a great test. It was a great test for him, great test for me to kind of figure out how much we can tank and how much we can kill. So, also something is he probably could have put all of the attacks onto the character in this unit, but they already procced their once per game, +1 to hit, +1 to wound, advance and charge and stuff like that. So if she dies, I don't really care. The only thing that happens is it stops me from getting on the objective to get 6 points instead of 3 points. So that is something that if you're Shalaxi, you basically just kill as many characters as possible. And then I can't really get as many primary points as I wanted. So I get Defend Stronghold and Storm Hostile Objective. So we have the control objective that you control 1 or more objective markers that you control by your opponent at the start of the turn, and Defend Stronghold. So we're just trying to defend our Stronghold, which is the back one, which he doesn't really have a lot of units there. And we took an objective that he had before, which was, I think, this one. So Abaddon is coming out to play. So Abaddon comes out, throws his unit, I think, throws a grenade onto her, does some mortal wounds. Our Forge Fiends can't shoot her because they can't see her. So Forge Fiends do nothing. They're basically just putting pot shots into all the rest of the Chaos Knights on the sides. So same thing, shooting down the side. He still has fucking 3, 6, 7 knights left. They're all kind of whittled down. And Shalaxi in the center. So Abaddon's going out to Shalaxi. All the shots going into her. I think I take her down to like 15 wounds. And then in the charge, I'm able to kill her in the charge with devastating wounds. And he has to make his 5 open bolt save. So I think we killed him like with just Abaddon before the other guys attack. And then this unit falls back. I think they fell back and threw the grenade. And then this unit up here that came in from reserves spent their once per game advance and charge and get +1 to hit, +1 to wound. So we put a shit ton of big guys into this one. We put 2 big guys into this one, so we're able to kind of split attacks. And down here, we're basically just controlling this bottom objective and charging and blocking off these last 3 Chaos Knights down here. And this is the end of the turn. So we killed Shalaxi in the center. We killed this knight. We killed that knight, and we killed 1, 2 knights and Shalaxi on our turn 3. So in his turn, he gets behind enemy lines, which is kind of tough because most of his guys are on his side, and then extend battle lines, which is at the end of your turn if you control 1 or more objective markers in your own. All right, so that one's pretty easy. He just has to get to the center. He ditched the other one for no behind enemy lines for no prisoners, so that one he can try and get by killing models. So I reserved Horon back here in his deployment zone and a unit of Nurglings back here. So they're just there in case I need to do secondaries for the final turn, because turn 3 they have to come in. So we deep struck and put Horon in on turn 3, so that way in case I get deploy teleport homers or engage in all fronts, whatever it may be, they're in that corner to try and get me that point. because they have to be on the table. So we put him back there, which gave him no prisoners pretty easily, because then he was able to kind of walk his 2 gun guys back and then shoot our Horon and Nurglings over there. So we got 4 points for killing those 2 easy targets, and then he wasn't able to kill anything else over here. So he kind of needed those 4 points in the back there to get points for secondary. So I gave him that, but I had to, because I had no other choice. So these guys, again, are still controlling this objective. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11 to his 8. And then same thing here. We have a ton of points. And then over there, it's just these guys just keep coming back every single turn. So there's just a fucking blob of 2 accursed cultist units that keep getting rezzed every single turn. And then by the end of the game, he's got 2 brigands left. This brigand down here, he gets secure no man's land and a tempting target, which we just picked the one with the most accursed cultists on it. We get no prisoners and behind enemy lines, which are able to get both. So Abaddon advances to get behind enemy lines and then charges both these guys. These guys move up and charge this thing. And then that's basically all he's left. So this is the final score. Chaos Knights, we get up with a 12 on primary because he wasn't able to control the center at all during the command phase, because every single time he put somebody on the point, we're able to kind of kick him off the point, and then next turn if he put somebody on the point, we're able to kick him off the point by either putting more units onto it or just killing the knight that was on the point. So he got 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 for holding his home field objective, and then which is 12, and then for us, or for his secondaries, he got 5 turn 1, 0 turn 2, 9 turn 3, 2 turn 4, and then 3 turn 5. Yes. So we had 9, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19. So 19 points for the secondary. So 31. 10 points for painting goes on at the end, so we don't count those during these points. So technically we would have got a 41 and we would have got a 98. So we had 48 for primary. We had 3 on turn 1. 15, 15, 15. And then for secondaries, we had 8 turn 1 for engage and the holding the center. We had 5 turn 2, 8 turn 3, 13 turn 4, and then 9 turn 5. So we had 40 for maxed out for secondaries, which gave us 88 or 98 to 41. Dude, awesome opponent. Really cool to play another dirtbag I've never played before. So anytime somebody comes up and says dirtbag, it's always going to be a fun game. So hopefully you had fun and learned something. It's always good to like coach people throughout the game, because you never want to go into a game and just fucking table people. There's no point to it. There's no fun in both sides. So every single time when you go into a game, you always want to have fun. If you're getting your ass kicked, like if I'm getting my ass kicked, I want to learn something from the game. There's been plenty of times where I just fucking get murdered. But you learn something the next time you play that type of army. So first time I played Space Marines, I got fucking tabled. First time I played Custodians, I got fucking tabled. First time I played Grey Knights in 10th edition, I got tabled. So you learn something every single time they play the game. So now him going into Cursed Cultist, he knows exactly what they do, how they do it. Abaddon can just one round a demon. So there's a lot of stuff that he can take away, and a lot of stuff that I've taken away from playing Chaos Knights plenty of times, going against Craig and going into Nova, which we played Grey Knights against a Team USA player. So luckily I played that exact same list without Shalaxi at Nova against Grey Knights. So I kind of knew what to look out for and what to do. So I was kind of a little bit prepared and being like, all right, I have to kill a melee knights as soon as possible, and then kind of just tie up the shooting knights whenever I could. That's the goal with Chaos Knights. So great game. That was the first round. We went 1-0. Second list, we go into our boy TJ, who's a fellow Cuddle Buddy. Notice the Cuddle Buddy jersey. He's playing Chaos Space Marines. So we have Chaos Space Marine versus Chaos Space Marine. Completely different list. He just got the Lord of Skulls, so he wanted to make a list with it. It's like half built. But he's putting this down on the table. Super cool model. Awesome rules. Shit ton of firepower. He's got his custom built Iron Warriors Abaddon. And then a lot of Iron Warriors painted scheme for the Terminators. So he's got Abaddon, 10 Terminators, Lord of Skulls, 10 Possessed, which is awesome. 10 Possessed with the Master Possession in the squad. Then he's got a unit of Accursed Cultists on his side with the Dark Commune, and then a unit of Cultists back here. I'm not sure if he had anything in reserves. No, so nothing in reserves, but he does have a the dude behind here somewhere. It's the tech priest to give him +1 to hit, and he can heal him, and he's got lone operative as well. So all the tech priests I think can tether just have lone operative if you're within a vehicle. So pretty cool tactic if you're running that. We are playing this one, which is Crucible of Battle, and then priority targets. So hold one, hold more. This is our deployment, so we have kind of like the same deployment where it's with it. Oh, we were that way, now we're 30 inches diagonal, so 30 inches and then go straight diagonal. We put our fiends right on the line right here, because again, if we have to go second, we just move them 9 inches back behind this cover, so that way they can't get shot. And if we go first, we can move 9 inches forward. And then everything else, we put the same thing right here. Nurglings up front. The other Nurgling squad is over here. We have our Cursed Cultists on the side here. We need to start them within 6 inches of Abaddon. So we have these guys right here. So if I do go first, I'm within 6 inches of Abaddon, which was kind of dumb, honestly. I think I should have put them on the other side of the wall so they don't get shot. And then if I don't go first, I don't get shot. If I do go first, I can just move them out to be within 6 inches of Abaddon. So that was a little, looking at it now, that was pretty dumb. I should not have done that. But one forward treat on the table, the other one reserves. And then we got cultists back here, Marines here, Cursed Cultists, and then the other Cursed Cultist is in reserves like we've been doing. So that's the deployment. We happen to go first, and this is a prime example of what the Seekers do, okay? We go first, all right? So let's go into the next thing. We got Assassinate, which we're probably not going to get, and Extend Battle Lines. At the end of your turn, if you control one or more objective markers in your own deployment zone and also one in no man's land. So if we can control this top one up here with our Cursed Cultists and control ours, we're getting easy 5 points. And then Assassinate, I'm just not going to get because he has a Master Possession, Abaddon, and a character right behind Allure Skulls. So probably not going to get Assassinate turn 1. So Assassinate, Extend Battle. Okay. So what we do is we move 9 inches with our Seekers, which goes from here to here, and then we advance because we don't want to charge the Chaos Space Marine. They'll just kill us. So we advance. Now, since they're beasts, they cannot advance through the walls, but as long as you end within coherency, you're fine. So what do? We advance, or we move up 9, so from here to here, and then we advance, let's say like 4 or something. That's an 18-inch movement. So we put one guy 18 inches straight this way, one guy 18 inches this way, one guy 18 inches this way, one guy 18 inches around this wall to there, and one guy 18 inches to there. And this is basically what we do. We spread out, long base going sideways, 2 inches here, 2 inches here on the other side of the wall, 2 inches here, and then if we can go 2 inches here, which then if you can be 1 inch away from their guys, like right outside 1 inches, they can't move within 1 inch. So they're basically stuck exactly where they are. Now, since he can't go through walls, these guys are basically super slow, and these guys are quick, but they have to run kind of all the way around here to kind of get onto the objective, or they can't go through. So they can't go within 1 inch. They can't run through your models unless they charge you. And these guys can't really do anything over here. So for one turn, I'm able to block him literally in his deployment zone with an 85-point unit. So Loader Skulls doesn't move. Abaddon kind of just all scooches up a little bit. The Possessed do advance. So they roll 6 on the advance. So they go from here onto the objective, which is amazing. So they move like 15 inches. So they go like 5, 5, 5 onto the objective, which is like he has to run fucking everything around this unit to get on the objective. Turn 1, he got behind enemy lines, which is just shit, and then Overwhelming Force, which is while a secondary is active, each time an enemy unit starts turning within range of objective marker is destroyed, you get 1 victory point. So we were not in range of an objective marker, so he doesn't get points for that either. So we're able to kind of keep 0 points turn 1. We then get engage on all fronts and investigate signals. So if you're within 9 inches of the table edge, or corner, you get to do investigate signals, and engage in all fronts. Obviously, you want to be in every quarter. So what do we do turn 2? We have investigate signal with Horon walking in the table edge up here. So he does the investigate up here. We have our bikes staying in this corner down here to do investigate down there. So it's 4 points for investigate signals. We then have to do engage in all fronts. So how are we going to get over there? We deep strike our Nurglings right here just to get engage in all fronts for 3 points. So we're able to get 4 and then 3 for secondaries because we're outside of 9 inches of these possessed over here. So that's what I was saying. The possessed ran fucking all the way around my fiends or seekers right here, so that we're kind of able to run around and just touch this objective. Abaddon units still stuck right there. We blow up the Lord of Skull. So turn 1, we're able to get our Forge Fiend from here, moving up 8 inches to here to get line of sight on the Lord of Skull. We then shoot and do a ton of wounds to it with Nurgle and devastating wounds. He then heals it D3, which I think he heals it 3. And then we bring our other Forge Fiend on turn 2 to just put both of them into the Lord of Skulls to take Lord of Skulls off the table turn 2. And if you just do the points, that should not happen. Like, these two guys should not kill fucking Lord of Skull in 2 turns. That's just me. I don't fucking know. But we wait because I know these guys can advance and charge because I think they're Slanesh. So we want to kind of stay as far away as them as possible because we want to get the charge. We don't want to get charged. So if he moves up his possess, then we'll commit the Accursed Cultist unit. And then over here, we kind of run our Abaddon right on the other side of this ruin here, over here, so they can't be shot at. We put one Accursed Cultist on this brick right here. We do the same thing where if one of these dies, we can then just make one of our guys onto the objective again to take over that objective for primary. These guys are on the other side of the wall here, and we kind of bring 3 out here just to kind of, so he does shoot me, so that way I can make guys and get the extend further. So that's kind of like a tease. If he shoots me, I can make guys. If he doesn't shoot me, I'm now just kind of chilling on the objective. So we block out from 9 inches from here all the way around the corner, all the way around my table edge, and then all the way here. So if he has any reserves whatsoever, he can only deep strike basically from here to there. So like this is his deep strike area, which is what this list is really, really good for. On his turn 2, he gets Cleanse and Assassination. So he's able to cleanse his home field objective pretty easily. And then he can't really cleanse anything else because he doesn't have anything near anything. So I forgot at the end of his movement phase to bring these guys on Rapid Ingress, so that was my mistake. They should have been on a turn earlier so that way they can get into the fray. But at this point, losing the Lord of Skulls on turn 2 and me blocking out your deployment zone on turn 1 and getting shitty secondaries, it kind of was like leaning more towards my game. So I wasn't really worried that like, all right, I forgot to bring them on. It's whatever, I fucked up. So next turn, I kind of brought them on turn 3. So they're just there. I had nothing to charge, so they're kind of just chilling for one more turn. But I've basically 42 guys on this side of the table just kind of waiting and controlling this top objective. We have Abaddon and his unit just waiting for his Abaddon unit. So whoever commits first basically gets the charge off. We have a Nurgling unit that was kind of just chilling in the center. Chris Cultist unit still waiting for his possessed to step out. Once his possessed step out, then they can get the charge off. 2 Forge Fiends just slowly forcing him to put Nurgle on the unit. So every single turn, basically, he would force me to do Nurgling, I would force him to do Nurgling, and we're basically just wasting 1 ZP every single turn. So I basically kept shooting his Terminators with my Forge Fiend, so that way he popped his Nurgle strat, and then I would put all my shots onto this Accursed Cultist unit. So we put 2 Forge Fiends into his Cursed Cultist unit right here, and then we moved up Abaddon, and we moved up 1 unit right here, so that way you can finish off the Accursed Cultist. So how you kind of figure out the Accursed Cultist is you want to see where his character is, because that's the only model he can't remove. So if you're trying to figure out charges and lengths and stuff like that, you want to figure out where his character is, so that way he can't remove that model. So your charge is always going to be the same on that character model. What I mean is his character was fucking right here. So if his character was, I don't know, in the middle here or up here, you can measure basically all of the shots off that character model, and that character model will not move. He can remove all the other models around him because they're bodyguard, but then that one model who's a character, he cannot move. So if you have like Abaddon or Drago or something, or any character in a unit, always measure to that character if you can, because that character will never move until it's dead. And if it's dead, you don't have to charge it anyway. So that's a good little tidbit if you're measuring distances, charges, how far the charge is going to be, whatever it may be. Because a good character is just going to remove this model, this model, this model, all these models to make your charge farther instead of just keeping them there and have a 2-inch charge. So what we do here is we basically just charge Abaddon into them, charge the Kris cultists into them, and the Nurglings might have charged in just to give these guys -1 to hit. These Nurglings moved up to try and block the fucking possessed just from moving towards me. They're OPSEC 0, so I just want to be annoying on this side of the table. I get no prisoners and aerial denial. So obviously we have aerial denial in the center with the Nurglings, doing really good at that. And then for no prisoners, we have to just kill as much as possible. So I think we finished off the Kris cultists. We have our bikes coming in over here to blow up the cultists down here with the bolters and plasmas. And then the Forge Fiends first picking off a bunch of the Kris cultists, and then we charge in. So I don't think we finish off the unit after the charge, even with Abaddon going in and then these Kris cultists going in. I think we leave everybody but the Kris cultist character. So he gets no prisoners and engage in all fronts. So for him, he has to commit because he has to bring Abaddon into the fray and start killing shit. So the possessed moved up, get an easy no prisoners on these Nurglings down in the bottom here. And then up here, Abaddon charges and finishes off the Kris cultist unit over here. This one solo guy is left in this unit. And then his one guy starts running away towards the corner in case he gets investigate signals. So he has to have somebody within 9 inches. So he starts running back towards the corner. He has his blue scribe dude, changeling, come in this corner for investigate signals in case he gets it. And then our Kris cultists are kind of just running up over here. So with the 4-pin won't save, it's so hard to fucking kill the Kris cultists. For us, we get cleanse and overwhelming force, so we have to kill people on objectives and then cleanse the objectives. So I think we cleanse this objective with the Nurglings, and we might have cleansed this one with the cultists. But we have to commit. So we advance and charge these Kris cultists. We move up Abby over here. And then we move up both Forge Fiends to be within 12 inches of Abaddon. So we're able to kind of put as many shots as we possibly can into Abaddon. Or the possessed. We might have shot all the possessed and just charge Abaddon. Yeah, so he still has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 possessed. And I charge in... Alright, so I charge the Kris cultists into Abaddon. He then countercharges with the possessed into the Kris cultists, and then Abaddon also charges the Terminators. Abaddon spends 1 CP to get precision to try and kill his Abaddon. So that's what happens, is we charge in, Abaddon gets line of sight to his Abaddon, because Abaddon was behind the wall. See how he's behind the wall? If I charge this guy and I can't see his Abaddon, I can't get precision. So you have to make sure that when you charge, you can see his character to get precision. So how we made this charge was we charged Abaddon. First, we blocked off the charge with these guys, and then Abaddon charged on this side of the wall up here. And then he piled in on this side of the wall and was able to attack the Terminator that was right here, and then he spends 1 CP to do precision, so all of his attacks have to go on to the other Abaddon, because I see Abaddon, and I gain precision, so the precision attacks have to go onto their character in that unit. So we kill Abaddon, he spends 1 CP for Coen, he fails to roll 3 up on Abaddon, so Abaddon doesn't get to attack, and then all the devastating wounds carry over to the rest of the Terminator unit. So I think we get full rerolls to wounds, so it's like we kill Abaddon first, and then the 4 or 5 devastating wounds carry over to the last 2 Terminators, which then kill the Terminators. So that was cool. And then the Possessed kind of put all the rest of the attacks, or the Kris Cultists put all the rest of the attacks into the Possessed to do some damage to the Possessed. And then these Possessed start advancing and moving up to get the backfield objective back here. So at this point, again, it's kind of hard to come back from that. But the Possessed start moving up and start chipping away. This is a psychic unit, so his Master Possession gets a 2-up psychic damage. I thought it was devastating. I always thought it was devastating, the 2-up, but it's only just 2-up against Psychers. So since it's a psychic unit, he gets a 2-up damage against the unit, which is pretty cool. 2 Forge Fiends still left. They're pretty low on health. What was that? What was that? That might have been the wounds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or this might have been Abaddon. This was a really crazy roll. This might have been the to wound on the Possessed, or the Kris Cultists onto the Possessed squad. Yeah, we wounded him 5, 10, 15, 20, 23 times onto his Possessed squad. AP 1, 2 damage. It was fucking insane. Spend 1 CP, 4 rerolls to hit, 4 rerolls to wound, +1 hit, +1 a wound. It's nuts. So investigate signals and secure no man's land, and this is basically the end of the game. So we control his backfield, we control that. This one's sticky back here. We control the center, and then he still has this secondary, or this primary. He's got 1, 2, 3 Possessed left with Master Possession, and then Abaddon's kind of just chilling there. He gets a tempting target and bring it down, which again is just not good for secondaries. And then this is the final. So this is the last board state. At the end of the game, Kris Cultists, we still have 1 full unit, 2 full units, and then this orange squad slowly kept coming back every single turn because he wasn't able to kill it with his Abaddon Terminators. So still 3 full Kris Cultist units. Abaddon's unit is still pretty full. Cultist still back there, 2 Forge Fiends, and then we have 1 Nurgling squad back here. The other 2 Nurgling squads died, and our bikes are somewhere. But final game, we get Chaos. TJ gets 10 turn 1, 5, 5, 0 for a 20 for primary, and then he gets 0 turn 1, 3 turn 2, 4 turn 3, and then 6 turn 4, and then 0 on turn 5. So it finishes up with 33, which is 43 for primary, or for score. And then for us, we get 10, 10, 10, 10, 15, which gives us 50 for primary. And then we get 5 for turn 1, 7 for turn 2, 7 for turn 3, 10 for turn 4, and then 10 for turn 5. So we finish up with basically 99 to 43. So 10, 20, 34, 39. Yep. So we finish up with 1 point away from 100. Any one of these secondaries, if we could have got one more, but we couldn't. So always great game against a fellow cuddle buddy. Again, it was just really hard turn 1, blocking out your entire fucking army with the Seekers, and that's really their whole goal. Like, the whole goal is I either go backwards and save them for secondaries or blocking turn 2, or fucking just throw them forward and either charge a unit turn 1, kill some Space Marines that have the 12-inch bubble, kill some guard, kill assassin, whatever it may be, but that's kind of their goal, is just to shoot forward and do something turn 1, or block out the enemy opponent. So that's basically what they did. That's our secret tech. Game 3. So game 3 was against a Dark Angels player. A completely different list than what I usually see. He's got a unit of the plasma dudes that can shoot when they die. He's got the jump pack plasma guys, which can come down within 3 inches. He's got one of the Land Raider tanks. Let me see if I have his deployment. Yeah, so he's got a Land Raider tank with the plasma guys inside the tank. He's got... No, plasma guys are outside the tank. He's got a unit of the gun guys that can do devastating wounds. I think Brian runs them all the time. So basically, like, they just have a shit ton of shots, devastating wounds, full rerolls because of Oath. He's got a full unit of Terminators that have -1 damage built in, wounds 4. I think a 2-up, 4-up, and 4-up mortal wound save. So super tank, probably one of the tankiest Terminator squads in the game, with one of the characters attached to him. It's got Azrael attached to the other unit, and then this character that does the free strat into that unit, and he's got this tank that does blast, a shit ton of bolter shots on the side, heavy stubber, and some missiles. He's got an infiltrator unit up front here. I don't think it has the 12-inch deep strike one. It might have. I'm not sure. I don't think it came up this game. And this was our deployment. So again, we start the Fiends as far forward as we possibly can. Everything else is exactly the same setup. So we have our Nurglings up front, so that way they can walk to the center, do and reject secondary. The other Nurglings are up top here. I could have put them like up here, which might have been smarter. The other guys are down here. So that way, if he does shoot this unit, I can then make a guy and then potentially get onto that objective. Abaddon is right there as well. The bikes are in the back there, Forge Fiend on the table, and then Cultists back there. So basically the same setup as every other time. And this is within 9 inches of the center. And supply drop. So that's his deployment, and he gets turn 1. So I had to move my Seekers back so they don't get shot turn 1. He gets deploy teleport homers and no prisoners turn 1, which kind of stinks. So he advances his big ass brick of Terminators into the center, which was probably his first mistake. Super reliant on their not dying for the Terminators. Deployed teleport homers is within the center of the battlefield, and my deployment set. All right, so he backs up his one tank over there. His other guys go over there. His one tank moves up, and these guys get out onto this objective from the other side of the wall. Oh, this is Omega. So that's what it is. This one went away first. This one went away second. And then I think we're fighting over the center objective. So his one squad gets out, so they're all within 3 inches over here on the other side of the objective. This thing moves up. These guys moved up. And it looks like that he actually did the wrong secondary to think about it. I think he thought that he got the 9-inch deployment one instead of deployed teleport homers, unless he switched it, which I don't think he did. So it just looks like that we just did the wrong one, or no prison. Deploy teleport homers. No, okay, so that's probably what he did. So he spent 1 CP turn 1 to get rid of deploy teleport homers and get investigate signal instead. So that's what happened. So he actually repicked the secondary and got that one, which then he put his tank in the corner to do that objective, and then he moved his guys down here to do this objective. So this is another thing that you should always plan out, is having shitty secondaries turn 1. So he was about 1.5 inches away further than from the corner of the deployment zone. So what you want to measure is, see what I did with my Nurglings up here? They should be within 14 inches because they move 5, and you have to be wholly within 9 inches of the corner. So if these guys are wholly within 14 inches, I'm able to move back and do investigate signals. Same thing down here. So these guys are in the corner to do investigate signals. So that way turn 1, if I get investigate signals, I can at least get 4 points turn 1 with 2 units. If it's cleanse, I want to be able to do cleanse there and potentially cleanse in the center. So that'll get me cleanse. If it's be within 6 inches of the center of the thing, I want to be able to do that. If it's control 1, control more, like, you have to plan out to get shitty secondaries turn 1. So putting your guys where they have to be, like, they didn't have to be here. They could have been there and been exactly the same position on turn 1. So he would have been wholly within 9 if he started like 1 inch closer to this side instead of further away. So I just, you know what, just move 1 inch closer, because you could have if you did it that way. So I let him move closer, so that way he was able to get investigate signals in that corner, because he was only off by like an inch and a half. So I was like, you know what, you could have deployed it there. This is the lesson. There we go. So he was able to get investigate signals in that corner over there. And obviously the tank, he moved back and did it back there. So he got 4 turn 1, and he kind of gave up on no prisoners. So on my turn, we get engage on all fronts and extend battle line. So at the end of your turn, if you control one or more objectives in your, so this one's really good to get turn one because you only have to control one objective and then engage on all fronts. We have to try and get in there. So our seekers again moved back turn one. So that way I have to move them up and then charge something to get engaged on all fronts. So we have the top corner, we have our corner, and then we have to get in this right corner to try and get engaged. So notice this clusterfuck. We just commit everything. So our Nurglings advance up to make it -1 to hit for these Terminators. The Seekers move up 14 to try and get a charge off to get engaged on all fronts. Our advance and charging a cursed cultist unit moved up, so they did the command phase, advance and charge, +1 hit, +1 wound, and then Abaddon advanced up and spent 1 CP so he could advance and charge because he's Slanesh. So he has a strat where he can move back 6 inches, but I advanced far enough so that way even if he moved back 6 inches, I was still able to get the charge off. Same thing with Abaddon's unit. So I moved up this one, I was like 1 inch away, and then I moved up Abaddon, I was like 1 inch away. So even if he spends 1 CP to fall back, I'm still going to be able to get that charge off, hopefully on a 6, to make that charge. So he doesn't back up. He basically just tries to tank it, and this is a lesson for both of us. So he puts everything forward. He spends, I think, 1 CP for free to fight on death, or do the -1 AP. I forget what it's called, but -1 to AP, which my AP 1 would have been to AP 0, and then we'd have a 2-up save, or he fights on death. So with Abaddon making that charge as well, like he's just gonna fucking murder everything anyway. So he's like, all right, I'm just gonna fight on death. I'm like, that makes sense, because then at least you get to fight back instead of just dying and not getting to fight with anybody. So we get our charge off with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the big guys, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 little guys, and then Abaddon gets his big ass base in there with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the other dudes. So we first start, I believe, with the Accursed Cultists. Yeah, so we start with the Accursed Cultists. We spend 1 CP to get full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound, exploding 6s. So we roll a shit ton of dice, hitting on 3s, full rerolls, and exploding 6s. And then we're strength 5, he's toughness 5, so I'm wounding on 4s down to 3s, full rerolls to wound. So we wound him 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 36 times. We wound him with our 6-man blob of big guys. So then he has to roll 35 saves, all 3-up saves, because he has 1 and 2s. It's AP1, so 1s and 2s he fails, 3 he'll pass. So then he rolls all that. It's all 2 damage, goes down -1 damage, so 1 damage. And then I think we kill 1, 2, 3 Terminators with all of those saves. So we kill 3 Terminators, they all have 4 wounds each. So we do 8, 9, 10. We do 10 wounds to him because I think one of them had 2 already. So we do 10 wounds to him with just our big guys. Then our little guys kind of chip away. They don't have any AP, so it's 2-up saves. And then fucking Abaddon goes into him. He only has 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3 characters with a character, or 1, 2, 3 guys left with that guy and a character behind this wall. So Abaddon swings in and just murders the rest of them. He kills 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He kills 6 of my Legionnaires on the swings back because I have a 4-up invuln save. So he kills 6 Legionnaires. I still have 4 left and Abaddon. Now, what Abaddon gets is he gets full rerolls to wound if you're on an objective. So he basically charges in, hits on 2s, rerolls 1s, exploding 5s and 6s. So basically I get all those extra hits, and then I wound on 2s, full rerolls. So basically you hit 8 times. Let's say you get 2 or 3 explodes. You reroll any 1s. So let's say you hit 12 times. That's an extra 4 explodes. You hit 12 times. You then wound on 2s with full rerolls. So I wounded him, I think, 2 6s, and then I did full rerolls, and I wounded him like 4 more 6s. So it was 6 devastating wounds, which killed. It was 6 devastating wounds, 6 regular saves. So the regular saves, he killed those 3 guys, and then the rest of the devastating wounds went on to his characters, which killed his characters. So we basically just wiped out an entire unit, which is Abaddon kind of taking his claw and just sweeping across the table, which was nuts. So it was 3 damage down to 2 damage, but he only had 6 wounds left. 2, 4, 6 wounds on his guys, and then I think the other guy had 6 wounds. So 6, 12 wounds went through and just murdered him. So he was trying to test out how tanky they are. I was trying to test out how much we can kill. So we kind of met in the middle, and we figured it out on both sides. So at that point, he basically lost his big brick on turn 1. And I think these guys failed their charge with a reroll. So the Seekers were kind of stuck there with the reroll, so they kind of got shafted. Deploy Teleport Homers turn 1, Aerial Denial, so he wasn't getting in the center. And Deploy Teleport Homers, he basically wasn't getting in the center there either. So his turn 2, he moves up this tank with, I guess my turn 2. Yeah, so he moves up this tank over here. These guys hop out on the other side of the wall. These guys come down within 3 inches, the plasma dudes. This tank scooted up to try and see this unit. And then this tank moved up and blew up my Forge Fiend. So the Forge Fiend died. These guys rapid ingressed down here on his turn 2. The bikes were there on my turn. These guys moved up. They're still there because they failed their fucking charge. The Cursed Cultists are just kind of chilling out right here. And then he just puts everything into the Cursed Cultist unit and Abaddon. Abaddon spent 1 CP, so he can't target him outside 12 inches. And it's per guy. So I think he only was able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 guys maybe into the Abaddon unit. And the rest of them were out. And then these plasma guys were outside of 12. So he put whatever into the Abaddon's unit, killed the rest of the Legionnaires, left 1 Legionnaire alive there. And the rest of them went into the Accursed Cultist unit. So again, everybody has a 4-up invuln save, and then they have a 6-up Feel No Pain. So I'm able to tank a lot of the plasma shots. If he blows up himself with the Hazardous, he's able to shoot again, which is such a good combo. So basically, you just Hazardous with everybody. If you roll any 1s on a 3-up, you shoot again, which is pretty funny. So you're just shooting twice with these with this unit, with a unit that has Oath on them. So you get their full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound. I think he murders these Seeker units because they die pretty easily. These guys scooted up and shot everything into the bikes. These guys were pretty much protected because he knew that Accursed Cultists were going to survive, so he didn't want to shoot these guys. The other Accursed Cultists are kind of waiting on this top objective over here. And then at the end of the shooting, we have still Abaddon with 1 unit left. 1, 2, 3, 4 little guys. 1, 2, 3 big guys. 4 big guys. And then the Dark Commune. He killed a bunch of his own guys, and then they're able to shoot back. So over here we have no prisoners and deploy teleport homers. Now they have a special thing where if you charge them, I believe, they can get into the tank for free. So as long as they're within 3 inches, which they were, if I charge them, they just move into the tank for free. So how to get around that is you charge the tank and then consolidate into that unit and murder that unit. So he told me that tidbit, which was pretty cool. So we're able to kind of select the tank as a charge target and then consolidate and tag the unit as well. So instead of charging the unit, we just move up and then charge the tank, and then we pile into the unit so that way we can shoot the unit or kill the unit with the charge. Everything else, these guys advance and charge so they can get into the fray. So they basically move up and charge. So since we tug these guys in combat with them, they weren't able to get in the tank anyway. So we both kind of fucked that up. So that's why he was able to like, all right, you can charge this unit then instead, because if they're engagement range, they can't get into the tank. So since they were tagged up with these guys last turn, I was able to charge this unit with Abaddon and these guys and the Nurglings. So the Nurglings are still there, getting the -1 to hit aura in the center of fucking everybody. So everybody's -1 to hit. These guys who rapid ingress advance and charge to try and finish off these 2 units on the bottom objective with, I think, the Omega objective. This guy walked in on turn 3? Turn 2 or turn 3. Walked on just to put some pot shots into this tank, which doesn't really do too much. I think it's toughness 12. And then this tank's kind of chilling up there. These guys deep struck in the back here. Again, for secondaries, if I need to get any secondaries up there. The Fiends weren't shot off the table, so they were able to kind of move up and get the charge off to tie this tank up. Cultists are doing their jobs back there. And Horon is kind of blocking out this corner. And the Nurglings are blocking out this corner. So we have blocked out all of this on this side of the table, while blocking out also all of this on this side of the table. So if he has any reserves, he can only basically come in like here. So right there is where his reserves, technically not even there, because we have the Nurglings in the back corner there too. So it's not looking good, obviously, for the Dark Angels. This is, again, all of the wound roll. I just rolled so many fucking dice. Spent another 1 CP, hitting exploding 6s, full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound. To kill the rest of that squad. Oh, this was this squad. So we leave all but one of the squads back here. So kills all of them, leaves one guy. And then this is the end of turn 3 or 4. So all he has left is Abaddon just slapped that tank. So that tank died to Abaddon. Abaddon's sole survivor, so he has 5 wounds left by himself. The rest of his squad died, but he basically made up his points. This tank is all that's left. And this one solo guy right here. So we have this objective, that objective, our home field objective, and this objective. So basically full unit here, full unit there. One of the this is the last guy left in this unit, so he did kill full Cursed Cultist unit, which is good on his part. And then he's got 1 tank left. So he gets engaged on all fronts and secure no man's land, which he won't be able to get. And then we get aerial denial, which again we get in the center objective, and then assassinate. He doesn't have any characters left, so I get points automatically because he doesn't have any characters left. So we get 5 points. We found that out at Nova, so that's good to know. And this is basically the end board state. At the end of the turn, we move up, charge to get engaged all fronts. So we have that corner, that corner, that corner, that corner. We then just kind of keep shooting his tank to take it down. Again, at this point, it doesn't really matter. We're just trying to steal the home field objective, and then all the cultists are just spread out everywhere. I think Abaddon died. He might have got shot by this tank just to say, fuck you, I killed Abaddon, which is great. So he killed Abaddon. And then that's it. So the final board state is this. He's got 1 tank left, which again, we don't care. We're just tying it up. We got Nurglings in the corner. Nurglings advancing up. Forge Fiend left. These guys blocking out the back. These guys on this objective, that objective, and that objective. So end of the game, he got 5 for primary because he was able to hold the bottom objective, because with the Omega and the other mission, basically if it's only the center objectives, your home field objective doesn't count. So he's able to hold the 1 objective for 1 turn. He wasn't able to hold the center at all, and then my side, he wasn't able to hold that. So we kept him to 5 for primary, and then for his secondaries, he got 4 turn 1 for investigate signals. He got 0 turn 2. He got 3 turn 3, 0, 0. So we kept him to 7. I felt so bad. So we wound up with a 12 or 22 with fully painted for primary. And then for chaos, we basically just maxed out. So we called it basically on turn 4. I had 10 points for primary, and then 15 turn 2, and then we would have basically 15 for turn 4 and 5. And then we had 8 on turn 1, 10 on turn 2, 10 on turn 3. So it just, again, this was just killed his Terminators turn 1, and at that point it was kind of just all downhill from there. What we learned, what we could have done better with this, we got a cool little trophy, by the way. This was the Games Workshop sending out the stores all the Leviathan trophies. So we had a cool store champion trophy that Jack gave us for winning this tournament specifically. Pretty cool. It's heavy, it's glass. I'm gonna put that up on the trophy shelf. So let's go back to the first turn. What we talked about was what he should have done. Instead of run everybody on the center objective, he should have just moved 1 Terminator out to there, which we would have had to advance just one accursed cultist out to the center, but then he would have been able to make the initial charge instead of us making the initial charge. Because if I advance out, he then could have moved 6 inches back behind the wall to make a harder charge for me, and I would have been like kind of further up and not get as many into combat, which most of his guys would have survived. Abaddon might not have even charged out. I probably wouldn't have sacrificed Abaddon turn 1, so it would have had to been the accursed cultist to basically advance out to the objective and just tow the objective just to hold it for 1 turn for primary. But he then on turn 2 would have had all of his Terminators alive to then do something with either moving up and charging or kind of just putting more onto the objective to do that. So that's probably the one thing he would have done differently. Also, these guys getting out on turn 1 did nothing. So him moving up the guys and getting them out turn 1 didn't really do anything. They probably should have just stayed in the tank. Maybe if he would advance it, I honestly don't know, because he had to do investigate signals turn 1. He had to do investigate signals over there, so he wouldn't have had this objective if he did that. So I guess he moved him out to get onto the objective turn 1, so that way he at least got some primary for there. So my turn, I guess that wasn't too bad. I guess I probably would have put more towards this corner, so that way he couldn't get like shot or moved out over here. Yeah, so that's really the only thing I would have done differently turn 1, is just only tow the objective, because putting all that in objective, you're turn 1 anyway. You're not going to score anything top of turn 2 unless you're holding it, and you're not going to hold it with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 obsec when I have this many accursed cultists. So that's probably the biggest thing that he learned, was with a 2 obsec per accursed cultist, we're going to get that charge off all day. And I would have done, what I would have done differently was put these guys closer here, so that way if I have to move back, I'm wholly within 14 of the corner. So if I get investigate signals, they're able to get investigate signals turn 1, and I can get on the objective to do like a cleanse or something turn 1. So make sure that your guys are always set up to try and get the best you can for secondaries turn 1. The Seekers, obviously, we didn't get turn 1, so they're kind of protected on this corner back here. And if you get turn 1, you're basically able to move up and just block out his entire board edge. What I would have done turn 1 was they would have basically moved up 9 inches, and then they would have advanced to put a whole line, like right 1 there, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So basically I'm blocking out his entire Termi unit right there, and then I'm able to kind of run the accursed cultist, just tag 1 guy right there, so that way I'm able to either just have an accursed cultist unit on the center objective, and then if he shoots me, I'm able to put 1 back out. So it would have been the same exchange. So you would have had to deal with the Seekers right there with his Terminators behind the wall, and then I'm able to kind of score primary turn 1 or turn 2, and then he's kind of in his deployment zone. So it would have been a completely different game if I went first, but since he did go first, all he had to do was kind of just tow the 1 Terminator on that objective. So that's the only thing I think we would have done differently here, and maybe these guys not getting on turn 1. I don't know. Like, you kind of want to get primary, which is his only primary he got all game. So maybe that was good that he did that there. So yeah, great game all around. It was definitely a fun day. We went 3-0 this tournament. We then went 3-0 our next tournament with the same list, different list, same concept, 3 accursed cultists. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something from this. If you guys are going to copy the list, it's expensive, but you need to practice playing quickly. So here's my suggestion: get a chess clock every time you play this list, and just, even if your opponent doesn't want to play it, just practice your own time. So hit your opponent hit your opponent's side, hit your side, keep control of the clock. Who cares what your opponent has? Even if he's at 0, like, you start him at 0, it doesn't matter. But you're practicing 1 hour and 30 minutes every single time you play this list. That's what I have to get down. So the last time me and Mike played at the tournament, we practiced using the chess clock because we have to get ready for LVO. So I have to keep running this list and keep getting better and better and faster with it. So that way I'm able to move the models, keep everyone in coherency, get the charges off, make the saves on your time. You have to make sure you do that. So if you're making saves, clock it over to yourself and to decide on where your saves are going to be made, because the 4-up invuln save and the 6-up Feel No Pain, if you're doing like 2 or 3 damage on your single wound guys, don't roll the Feel No Pains. Only roll the Feel No Pains if it's 1 damage, or you're doing 2 damage or 3 damage on your 3 wound guys. That's the only time you're doing Feel No Pains, because you could roll 6s for the 3 wound guys to save them to tank another shot. That's the only time you're doing Feel No Pains or a single wound damage. That'll save you a lot of time. And then the 4-up saves, make sure you have enough dice so that that way you're rolling them. Any Feel No Pains, you just pick up the dice you just rolled to roll it again. Don't take them out of your hand, because then you have to recount and make sure you have the right. So let's say I roll a dice and then I roll another dice from my hand for the Feel No Pain. Well, technically you cheated because you used a dice from your hand, which should have been a roll. So make sure you're keeping track of all that stuff, because it's accidental, but make sure you're keeping track and your opponent doesn't feel like you're messing it up. Because again, with this many wounds and saves, it's kind of disheartening when they only kill 2 big guys and 1 little guys with their full ass fucking tank. Like it's kind of crazy when you think of it like that. But the 2 last cannon shots, 1 saved with the little guy, the other one failed, so you killed a little guy with the last cannon, and then your 3 or 4 heavy bolters kill another little guy, the other guy takes 2 Feel No Pains, and then finally dies, and then the other big shot is saved with the 4 Feel No Pain. So all that shit just is crazy when you're facing against it. But that is what you should be practicing if you're going to be running anything type this list. So we'll end it up there. Guys, I really do appreciate it. All my Patreons, you guys are what keeps me going. We have, so much coming up. You guys are supporting me so much. Me and my fiance, we have the wedding coming up in 2 months. Sorry, month and a half. And you guys supporting, buying stuff, giving us awesome tips. Like, you guys are just amazing. It kind of makes me keep wanting to do this over and over and just make more videos for you guys. But there's so much coming up on the channel. We are trying to make as much videos as possible before we go on our honeymoon, because we're going to be away for about 2.5 weeks. But we're going to have stuff lined up on Patreon page, as well as some on YouTube later on. But if you guys are Patreon, you guys get first access to these videos up on there. Make sure you're hitting the notification bell so these videos actually pop up for you guys, and suggestions for grandmasters and competitive dirtbags, leave it over on the Discord. Make sure you're messaging me so you're getting the most out of being a Patreon for the competitive and dirtbag package. So make sure you're messaging me. Never a bad time. Always message me. Any questions, never a dumb question. And it's just fun. Let me know what you liked about these videos. There's going to be another 3-0 RTT video coming up with a similar list with the 3 Kris cultists. But leave me suggestions on how we can get better with these videos. Does the mic sound good? Is the lighting good? Is the camera good? We did upgrade the camera from our Patreons, and we're going to have a couple live videos coming up with Kivo coming over to the Battle Bunker. So guys, I appreciate it. If you guys want some merch, definitely hit me up on Discord. If you guys want to be a Patreon, you'll get a private Patreon Discord link. And join the Discord for all the memes, and we'll see you in another video soon.